Four Deep Sports Talk would like to thank its supporters, including PTU Clinic. Find out more about Bridgewater and Buzzards Bay's newest physical therapy clinic and what they have to offer at ptuclinic.com. Adria Restaurant and Banquet Facility located at 436 Oak Street in East Bridgewater. Visit adriarestaurant.net for more. Diesel Direct, your reliable source for fuel delivery. Log on to dieseldirect.com to get more information. And by the New England Knockouts, Brockton's brand new Frontier League baseball team. Get your tickets for the inaugural season today at knockoutsbaseball.com.
Good morning, everybody, as I try not to blow anything up, and we'll hold that spot. We have, if you want to call in, 508-222-1320. I am Dominic Damiano, joined by Avea Jet. Luz Cabral is double checking everything else that I'm hopefully not going to mess up. Lower third, I'll get to insert that. We are happily be joined by the new head coach over at Brockton High School, Jailson Silva, right? I say it right?
That's correct.
It only took me a little while, Coach. Now
You good, you got it.
Now we got it. So that's it, and that's all we got to do. And Avea was just, was just trying to get an idea what's going on. So I thought, Coach, like we talked in the lobby out there, if you could just educate everybody about you, not just being the Brockton, how you got started in the coaching and where you're at today, and I think it's a good chance for everyone to get to know you.
No, appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. So I graduated Brockton High School class of 2003. I attended Brockton Public Schools. I went to the Huntington. I went to South for 2 months, and then I went to North Middle School. And then, like I said, I graduated from Brockton High class of 2003, where I played football. I was also on the track and field team as a thrower. And then once I graduated Brockton High School, I ended up going to Worcester State College, where I played 4 years of football there. I got my degree in communications. And then shortly after that, I got into the communication field, and I did that for like a year or two. And then I had an email sitting there from my old track coach that I went back to one day, and I said, you know what, let me try to get back into the school system and help out where I could. So then once I got into the school system, I believe that was in 2013. That's when I started coaching youth around that time. So I coached the Brockton Midgets Football League for 2 years, and then I coached the junior boxers for a year. After I did those 3 years, I decided, you know what, I want to kind of step it up, and I decided to join the freshman football staff at the high school. And I did that for 7 years. 2 out of the 7 years, I was an O-line coach, D-line coach, and then the last 5 years at freshman, I was the head coach. And then this is my second year of varsity. Last year, I was offensive line coach under head coach Jermaine Wiggins when he was up here last year. And then once that kind of ended, then I applied to be the head coach. And, after the interview process, I ended up being named the next head coach for the Brockton High School football team.
Well, congratulations. That's
Thank
awesome. Let me turn down my mic before I blow anybody out. So how long was that interview process?
Altogether, I think I want to say I had 3 interviews.
Okay.
So 3 interviews within probably like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks.
Right.
So I don't remember how many candidates. I think there were at least somewhere between 7 to 10.
Wow.
Not sure on the number, but I did. I'm pretty sure it was about 3 interviews when it was all said and done.
Nice. That's really cool.
Oh.
Yeah, ready. That was your cue.
Sorry. You got the head coach job in July. From there to now, how has the team impacted you as a coach?
I mean, the impact on the kids is tremendous. I mean, I've worked in the school system for almost 10 years now, so you build connections with these kids, and they almost become an extension of your family, almost like they're your children. Mm-hmm. These kids, I mean, they showed up, they've worked hard. Even before, I was named the head coach, we were working out, in December, in January, February, up until the announcement was made. So, I mean, I've watched them mature, I've watched them grow, I've watched their work ethic, I've watched their academic improvements. So like I said before, they're like an extension of my family. They're like little kids that I kind of have molded and helped grow into where they are right now.
That's good. what values, this also goes into the first question, what values have you learned from this team that you're going to carry on long term, that lessons that the team has taught you, players?
That regardless of what's going on, regardless of the adversity, that at the end of the day, we all are one. We're a family. We all love each other regardless of a win or a loss, regardless whether we, bicker one day or we're laughing the next day. At the end of the day, we're one unit, and we always have like a deep love for one another because we've all been down this path. And, playing football is not easy, so we all understand what it takes. And I think that kind of just has pulled us together as far as a team.
Now I had a question. So you played college football. Mm-hmm. What position did you play?
So I played right tackle for like a game or two, and then I got moved to right guard.
So you're pretty quick.
Well, back then I was pretty quick. Now I'm a little slower.
You're the same spare tire problem I have. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So, Coach, I understand you're a behavior intervention specialist over
Correct.
at Brockton.
Yes.
So, how I know you've grown up with the school. You graduated from there. I'm sure you get a lot of support, from fellow alumni over there. How do the kids react to how you coach? I know, I think I read somewhere that your mentality for them becoming as one team, you value values and morals, and that's how your coaching style is.
Yes, correct.
So how do the kids, I know there's a couple seniors that have been with you all the way through high school, and they're seniors now, so they understand that. How do the rest of the kids react to your style?
I think they've all kind of realized that there's a way to do things, and when you stay consistent with those methods and the disciplines that we're trying to instill, they all follow suit. And then they realize that once they start doing it, it's like, oh, this isn't as bad as I thought. It may have been difficult at first to, like simple things, wearing your ID all day at school, making sure you're going to class on time, making sure you fill out your progress report and turning it in, like you're responsible for that piece of paper. They start to realize, oh, it's not as bad as I thought it was. It's a little more work. It's a little more attention to detail than they may have been used to. But I think after a while, and they see that the seniors have been able to do it, and they see that the juniors are doing it, they're like, oh, well, now I think as a sophomore I can do it and kind of keep it going as well.
So it's a discipline type of thing, and it also teaches structure.
Exactly.
It's so funny. They don't remember that he fell down, I fell down, you fell down at one time, and we had to learn. And as you get older, you'll see that if you don't already. Which you're pretty smart, so you probably do get the idea of how you're accountable, and you went through these things.
Absolutely.
No matter what high school you went to, they kind of look at you, they give you that long stroll. What do you mean? What are you talking? You know what I mean? But he has to do it with twice as many kids. I mean, Brockton High's his own little city out there.
Right.
Right,
it's a big school.
It's a humongous school. There'll always be Division I. And that's another.
I don't see that school getting any smaller.
No, I don't either. Oh, that's crazy. But yeah, I get a kick out of that. I can just picture the kids, Coach. They see you in class, and you're trying to talk to them, and you're trying to be sincere, but at the same time, you're trying to make a point, and they just look at you with that long face. And I used to, when I coached football, I used to say, you had too much sugar cereal. That's your problem. You got to focus. And I try to loosen the mood, and different kids, different area, whatever. But it's crazy. I mean, I tip my hat to you because you have a lot of kids. I don't know if you have a partner or a coworker that does the same thing you do, because you're in the green building.
I'm in the green building, correct. So there's obviously 4 buildings. Each building has a behavior interventionist, and then, like I said, we're tasked with dealing with students that may need a little extra support during the day, just to kind of keep them on track, or if they have things that they may need to get off their chest. They have someone to come to, and myself being one of those individuals.
All right, young lady, whenever you're ready. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'm getting in the way again.
When playing good teams that compete, there's so many that are hard workers, and obviously your team is too. What's the mindset or mentality you say to your players, obviously when you're playing a good team or a team that has a good record or undefeated? What's something that you tell your team getting into the game before it starts?
I think the one thing we've kind of preached on is one, sticking together, two, cutting down on the mistakes, and just playing hard, not letting the moment get too big for you. Everyone, they've all played the sport of football for a while, so it's just not letting the moment get too big. Getting the jitters out sooner than later. But yeah, I think week to week, regardless of who we're playing, the message is always the same, because on a week-to-week basis, you never know who's going to win or who's going to lose. It's just making sure that we're putting forth our best effort and giving 100% on every play until the game's done.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great, mentality you say. And I feel like just hearing your answers now, I feel like you're a very understanding coach, and when it's time to play around and when it's time to get serious, especially on game day or weeks before a game, when it's time to tell your team that this is a really important spot, and if you want to be in it, then you're going to work to get in it. So correct. I think just your coaching style seems really good and excellent in what you're doing.
Thank you.
Now I'm looking at shut my own mic off so you guys weren't hitting my little fingers tripping, peck at the keyboard. So we have a minute 30 left for this first break, but I was going through the schedule, and sometimes the schedule doesn't really tell you the outcome of the game. And I've done a lot of Brockton High School football. And if you look at it, I'll touch on a little bit. So the Barnstable game was definitely a winnable game, and it is what it is, the way the last couple minutes played out, and they only lost by 3. The Franklin team was a powerhouse, and they definitely they're definitely well coached and played Brockton. That's why they won and stood out the way they did. The Lincoln Sudbury game, that's another game that was right there for the picking, and if you turn right, you turn left, that kind of outcome in a nutshell, depending on how you call your play. You know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Then the Lawrence game, that could have been a lot bigger win, in my opinion, but there still was a win. Andover game, another close game. And these other games I mentioned that were close besides the Franklin game, they only lost by 3. So if you think about it, they could easily have been 7-1.
7-1, and that's one thing we look back and we're like, it could have helped our seeding. It could have, the opponent we might have played round 1 would have been different. Right. But I think that's part of what kind of drove the team to kind of stay the course. Is we were never really out of any game. We've always had the opportunity to win every game, and obviously you lose 2 games where we have the ball to decide the game at the end. I mean, in most scenarios, you want to be the team that goes out and wins it on the last play of the game, and it just didn't work out for us in those games. But we've always had the opportunity in all the games we've played to have a chance to win it and have the ball to win it, and sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. But the kids were. I mean, they saw that the opportunities were there, and that's what kind of just kept them pushing forward into the second half of the season.
All right, we're going to take our first break. If you want to call when we come back at 508-222-1320. We have the new skipper over at Brockton High School football, Coach Silva. We'll be back with him and more as we continue this hour right after this.
My junior year of college, I decided I wanted to be a truck driver.
So my uncle, he works here for like 40 plus years, and he said, choose Diesel Direct, don't go nowhere else.
Lo que me inspiró a mí fue mi hijastro, cuando él se graduó con su CDF.
I was telling my stepdad and my brother, hey, this is probably one of the best jobs I've ever had. And I was showing them the type of income that I was making. The equipment that we have at Diesel Direct is the best.
I aim to go in the big unit, the tractor trailer, so I'm trying to work myself up.
I never really had a career before this, but I just want to do my job well and be accepted. And I feel like a lot of people, that's all they want, right? And you definitely get that here.
This season was a obviously success, but may not be success for anyone else. The beginning of the season, you guys went 1-4, and the team railed to finish with 4-4 and secure a place in the playoffs. What was the motivation you kept for your team? How did you keep your team being able to push through those hard games and get to that spot to at least set a spot in playoffs?
I think the message was always to come out and continue to work, continue to fight. And we tell the kids a lot, you have a long season and no one's going to come and save us from ourselves. We can only save ourselves. So every week you have to show up and you have to continue to work, because once you get out into the real world, things aren't going to just stop because you lose a game. Mm-hmm. Like, whether you lose or win, you still have to prepare for the next week. And next week's going to come regardless, whether you want it to or not. The next opponent's going to be in front of you in a week, whether you want it or not, regardless of what happened the week before. So I think starting off 1-4, obviously it was, a little disheartening for some of the players because a lot of the games were close. Mm-hmm. But I think they also knew that if we could get, the second win, if we could get the third win, then it kind of put us in a better path to making the playoffs. And I think once we got that third and fourth win, I think they saw the vision, like, all right, now we have a chance to at least get into playoffs and compete. And that's where they wanted to be all season. And I guess they had the opportunity last night. Didn't go the way we wanted it to. But, again, even after the loss last night, the message still is the same every week. We still have to show up next week. We still have to continue to compete. No one's coming to save us from ourselves. We have to save ourselves and continue to work.
Now, do you think that half of the season, did you think there was doubt from anyone else or some of the players on the team that's just how it was going to play out?
I don't know if they were doubting themselves as if they weren't going to make playoffs. Obviously, it's difficult to see the future, mm-hmm. where I think kids are just so where kids are just so used to wanting to see the results in front of them, and it's tough to see the results of maybe making the playoffs if you're 1-4. So you got to win. You got to get your second and third so they can start to believe a little more. I wouldn't say they doubted themselves. I just think they just needed to see the wins to kind of believe more that the opportunity to play in the playoffs was going to be a valid reason.
So how do you motivate them? How do you tell them, it's another game, it's another game? What do you tell them, to hype themselves up, to play hard, to, what is it?
A lot of it is it's just challenging them. It's just, you guys wanted to be in the playoffs, so how are you going to get there? Mm-hmm. What are you going to do to get there? How much more are you willing to give to get to where you want to be at?
Now, for you, once you took over the reins, if you will, mm-hmm. how did you adjust to these? Well, you already used to it at the freshman level, but of course the speed of the game's a lot quicker from the freshman level to the varsity, which
mm-hmm.
As far as these new national high school football rules, like I know when I was telling you before, when I used to do it, I used to always work about the game clock. So I had to teach, we did everything on a wrist, and hey, mm-hmm. let's go. What was your big adjustment with those new rules when they came out? Anything come to mind?
Not that I can think of. I know the cutting rule was different. I know back when I played as a fullback, you could run out and cut the defensive end, whereas now it's more immediate. Then it's just understanding. I mean, I don't think the rules were honestly don't think the rules were too many different from what I can remember. I mean, obviously the cutting rule was the one thing that stood out the most to me, but I think a lot of it just kind of is the same. From freshmen, obviously the speed was a little different, yeah. But I think you understand that once you go from freshman to JV to varsity, everyone's going to get better from year to year. So those kids that may have been a little slower freshman year, they're going to be faster within the next year or two. So the adjustment, I don't think was a huge adjustment. I think the routine that we've created kind of carried over. So it made the transition a lot smoother. Obviously, the schedule became a little more hectic because there's more responsibilities, more things to kind of take care of at that varsity level opposed to the freshman level. But I think our staff did a good job adjusting and kind of just keeping the ship going forward.
And you get away about more parents, too. Right? Why am my kid playing? Why am I?
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to have to deal with that. I think our parents do a good job advocating for the kids in a respectful way. Good. And I think we've been able to have healthy conversations with parents and and emphasizing what we're trying to do and why it may not be suited, or why this game plan may not be for their kid, or why they may not be where we want them to be for them to play. And I think a lot of them are understanding.
Good. Always worried about that, I mean, that's also coming off you, that your demeanor, the way you come to, at least my opinion, the way you come to the kids, and you probably have an open book, pretty much, if there's a problem, please let me. How are you supposed to fix it if you don't let me know? Because sometimes, you guys know, you're an athlete, she's an athlete, sometimes the kids will hold it in and they won't express. Playing time is earned on the field, no matter what happens. But if you have a concern with a teammate and it can be fixed, and 90%, in my opinion, you just got to go to him and let him and his,
There you go.
Oh my goodness! I just, as you're telling me, I'm flashbacks right now. I might need an Advil after this as I'm dwelling on it.
But then that's one thing we tell the kids at the beginning of the year is, like, regardless of who you are, where you are on the depth chart, like, everyone has a chance. And if you deserve to play, if you work hard enough and you're doing the things that we need you to do, and it coincides with being on the field, we will do the best we can to get you on the field.
Now, how does that work into my next question before I hand it over to this young lady and Luce? How in depth, what were the biggest problems? I mean, now the year's over, what was our biggest concerns going into this campaign for this year?
I think depth at linebacker. Sorry from all last night's yelling.
How are you going to say that?
Depth at linebacker. I think depth on the O-line and D-line were, I think, the two areas of concern coming into it. I think every team always has a million receivers and DBs and running backs, and that's usually never an issue. Obviously, I think coming into the season, linebacker and the O-line and D-line were our biggest concerns. Even though we had 23 seniors, the O-line is comprised of mainly seniors, but a lot of those guys didn't get a lot of varsity time last year. So it's still, it's still a learning curve they have to adjust to, going from, maybe just playing JV to now jumping up to varsity the next year.
Right, that must be tough.
So there must be a lot of adjustment, especially with the kids. What do you have, 2 or 3 seniors now? And
you're 23.
And 23 seniors?
Oh, yeah.
So what does that look like for next year as far as...
How many juniors do we have?
Right now we have about 15 juniors.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah. But the good thing is we had 3 sophomores playing this year. And I'm sure we'll have, I had 2, actually, I'd say 5. So we had 3 sophomores starting, 2 sophomores rotating in. So those sophomores will be just a little more experienced next year. So even though we have a smaller junior class, but when you couple in with a bigger sophomore class, it'll balance out.
So what's the energy like into next season, do you think? Do you think that the kids buy it into your...
I think the kids are bought in.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
that's good.
The energy for next season hasn't really started yet because we're still trying to finish off this season. I know we still have 2 more games left, including Thanksgiving, which we know is a big one. So I think we're not looking too far ahead into next season just because we want them to focus on the next game and the next 2 games, especially coming off a loss last night. You don't want to go too far ahead and get them unfocused, so we just want to focus on the next game, the next week.
Now, do you guys know, now that, unfortunately, I forget the word they use for that, when you're out of the playoffs.
The consolation.
Consolation,
right?
I hate that word,
yeah.
consolation. I think they should make it an 8-game season, play it like that, give the teams a couple breaks before, playoffs, something like that, exactly. I just think a consolation. All right, so my point was, I apologize as I ramble on. I'm Italian. That's my excuse.
I'm sorry.
Is what do you have? Who you playing next week?
We were hearing Taunton, but we won't officially find out till probably tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening.
A lot of people.
Wow.
A lot of people go from Brockton to Taunton. I was one of them for 35 years.
Really?
So
yeah.
Not official, but that's what I heard. But it could change. But I think it's close. It's a close game. It's not a far travel, and it's 2 towns that kind of know each other. So,
like I said, a lot of transplants live in Taunton.
So it'd be nice to go down and beat Taunton.
Right. It's a nice little. That'd be a nice day.
I think you need to be at that game, Ava.
You know what? We might end up covering that game. Do a little.
That would be awesome.
That's what we try to do. That'd be a fun game to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, the biggest thing, Coach, I see is that those 3 wins you guys burned off against a very good Everett team. New Bedford's always competing. Well, they're young this year. Durfee was a close game, and then going to the playoffs. That must have done, like, to touch on what she was saying, and a little bit what Ava was saying, that must have brought up the morale going in the playoffs, realizing that, where you were at and how close those other losses were. You were right in all those games, and then you burned 3 off in a row. That must have definitely helped up the mindset.
It definitely
going
does. And I think, and that's the other thing we kind of hopped on is you've been in all these games, and you could easily be 7-1. You could easily, won all the games by 3 instead of losing by 3.
Yeah.
So I think them seeing that the games are close and that the opportunities, the winner right there, and then to get 3 wins in a row. I mean, they were confident going into last night. We told them the whole week, like, anything can happen as long as you show up. Keep the mistakes down, keep the flags out of the flags in the refs' pockets, and you have a chance to win.
Absolutely. Okay.
Now, out of all those teams, all the teams you played this season, is there a team you wish you could go back on and be like, oh, we want to play them again, or I want to play them again even though we win by more?
I'd rather go back and play all the teams we lost to.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, you said earlier, the Barnstable game we pretty much had in the bag, and bad play call at the end kind of cost us the game. And Lincoln Sudbury, we started off slow, but then we picked it up, and one opportunity missed or 2 opportunities missed. Probably we win that game by 4 instead of losing it by 3. Mm-hmm. Andover, that's probably the best first half we played all season because we've been a slow starting team. So to watch us come out in Andover in the first half and actually have a good first half of football was good, but then it kind of like flipped. So I would definitely go back and replay all the 4 teams we lost to, including Franklin, even though, like I said, Franklin was it was 21-7 going into the third, and then, they popped one off in the fourth quarter, and then now they're up 28-7, and then usually that's when things kind of take a slip, but I wouldn't have every team we lost to. I'd go back and play them again.
All right, we're going to take our second break. Again, if you want to call in, 508-222-1320. Coach Silva's here from Brockton High. You're only the 4th coach, I think, in high school, maybe the 5th coach in high school history. So that's some pretty big shoes to fill there.
I'll have to look into that. But
that's off the top of my head. God knows I get cobwebs for a memory. But we'll be back with him and more right after this.
My junior year of college, I decided I wanted to be a truck driver.
So my uncle, he works here for like 40+ years, and he said, choose diesel direct, don't go nowhere else.
Lo que me inspiró a mí fue mi hijastro cuando él se graduó con su CDF.
I was telling my stepdad and my brother, hey, this is probably one of the best jobs I've ever had. And I was showing them the type of income that I was making. The equipment that we have at Diesel Direct is the best.
I aim to go in the big unit, the tractor trailer, so I'm trying to work myself up.
I never really had a career before this, but I just want to do my job well and be accepted. And I feel like a lot of people, that's all they want, right? And you definitely get that here.
Now, looking at some of your players now, do you see any of them like how you played, just based off skills, or do any of them kind of remind you of yourself?
That's an interesting one. I'm pretty sure they all kind of remind me of myself. I mean, I played offensive line and D-line in high school, so I would look at most of my linemen for that. I think there are a couple linemen that I would see like, you kind of remind me of myself. But obviously, we're talking about almost a 20+ year difference from when I played to where they're at now. So I mean, kids are now, bigger, stronger, faster than when I even played. So I think there's a couple kids on the roster that I would say kind of remind myself. I think my demeanor and personality kind of rubs off on them and vice versa. And, my intensity sometimes it will boost theirs, and, their intensity will give me life sometimes to pick my energy up too. So it's kind of like a two-way street when it comes to that.
Now, I know this kind of goes based off of what she said earlier, but how would you explain your coaching style?
I would say I'm a little bit of old school and new school. Like, I understand the old school discipline style of things, like the attention to detail, but then I also understand that we're also in a new generation of kids, and that what I grew up discipline-wise may not be the best suited for them. So I try to kind of find the line between the both, allowing them to kind of be themselves. I know this generation is driven on, music and technology, so it's giving them the opportunity to play their music, in the locker room before the games. Whereas when I played, it was more, focused and quiet and silent, and I would say
That sums it up.
that sums it up.
All right, we have a caller. Caller, you're next. You're first on here on 4 Deep Sports Talk.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Hi, this is Louis. How you doing?
Lou, how are you?
Good. Glad to see you back. Good to see you, Coach. Coach, I was wondering, how much has training changed for the players since when you played and 20 years later?
It's a lot. I think when I was in high school, we didn't have the cell phones, we didn't have the YouTubes. So a lot of what we did when I was in high school was you were either working out or you were hanging out playing outside. I think we're trying to instill that work ethic in these kids now, even though a lot of them are not as motivated as I was 20 years ago. But there still are a lot of kids that understand the hard work will lead to the progress. So we do have a lot of kids that still fit that style of working hard, but then there are obviously some that kind of, they tend to dwindle because the off seasons here and all the distractions kind of take over a little bit.
Right.
Well, Lou, do you have anything else for Coach?
No, that was pretty much it, because I remember, like, when I was in high school, we had the weight rooms, and it was pretty strict during the summer where everybody was going in there. Then you had, the captain's practices.
Yeah, all that stuff still exists. It's just trying to fit it into everyone's schedules. A lot of kids are working nowadays, where obviously bills, the price of everything has gone up. I think when 20 years ago, I was able to just focus on lifting and knowing that the bills were taken care of, and if I needed something, I could just ask for it. Whereas now kids are now having to work to support these expensive phones and sneakers and whatever else they want to buy. So I think a lot of kids now are trying to work during the summer times and fit in, their workout with a working schedule too. So it's a lot different than it was 20 years ago. But I think a lot of our kids are doing a good job managing, summer workouts with lifting during the winter time and working and school. So it's just a matter of just trying to keep them engaged, keep them focused, and keep them on the right path.
Well, I'm sure you're doing a great job. Keep it up, Coach, and good luck with the rest of the season, okay?
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Lou, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's our favorite caller. He doesn't miss. He hardly ever misses a call. That's actually Lucy's husband.
Yes.
Great
He listens
guy.
in.
Yeah.
And then he
does.
takes a nap. So
Then he takes a nap. He works nights, right?
yeah.
Yeah. 508-222-1320. If you want to talk to Coach Silva, to touch on the weight room thing real fast. How is that policed this year compared to last year, or run, or whatever? I don't know if police is the right word. How's that all come about?
So during the school year, it's all based on what kids, what sports are kids playing. So once the season's done, if you're playing basketball, if you're on a track team, if you're on the wrestling team, obviously the weight room isn't going to be your first option. The kids that obviously aren't involved in another sport, it's open, and we usually do 3 to 4 days a week during the school year. The gym's available for them for an hour and a half, 2 hours for them to be able to come in and work out. During the off season, where kids aren't involved in anything, then we're doing a combination of weight room and field work 4 to 5 days a week. So it's just a matter of getting the word out, making sure that they're showing up, tracking who's doing what, and then making sure that we're getting them there as much as possible.
Now, your first year, did you guys participate in the spring passing league they have around the state?
Yeah, so we did the 7-on-7, the Northeast 7-on-7. That was held at Zavarian. And then we also joined NOS Elite. They were doing a 7-on-7 passing league at Cardinal Spellman. And they met, it was every Sunday afternoon. And that was for about a month.
NOS Elite, don't they already have like a flag thing going on too?
Yeah,
we actually had them in studio before.
Yeah,
we
they
did?
have so they have their own league, and the gentleman that runs it he was coaching at Spelman. He offered us a position to come in, a spot to come and join them, and it just helps build that chemistry early on in the summertime too with the quarterbacks and the receivers.
You got a lot going on, young man.
Yeah, it was a busy summer.
And you're going to get involved with basketball on the side,
basketball,
if you will.
That's the fun. That's the easy part. I just get to sit there and add points to the scoreboard.
and you don't have to put up with my voice chirping in your ear to your right or to your left.
Yeah, I usually have at least 2 or 3 people in between.
Yeah, true. That's true. Oh, that's funny. All right, whenever you're ready, kid. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, that kind of summed up all my questions, but just for like your team in general, do you feel that everyone gets along as a team? They all treat each other like family. Do you think there's a good bond with the team?
No, there's a good bond, and just like any team and any long-term relationship, there are bumps, and kids have disagreements. They get on each other's nerves, which is expected when you spend so much time with one another. Mm-hmm. Some of these kids they literally see each other every day but Sunday since we've started back in, I can't even tell you, I think we've been going at it since December. So these kids see each other just about every single day. And yeah, sometimes they bicker, they have their differences, but at the end of the day, they understand that we're a family, we're one unit, and even when we have issues, we got to sit back down and talk about it and figure it out.
On a lighter note, I used to tell the kids, I'm going to talk to your parents. You gave me a headache, and I'm taking your Social Security number. I'm claiming you on my taxes just so I can get some type of relief after all the aggravation. Try to break the monotony of it, But, yeah, people don't realize, and we touched on this on other new coaches we had, and you get paid a stipend. But you're not getting paid a stipend to pay for your mortgage or nothing like that. You're getting paid for a stipend to put up for a football season, and you're donating over, I don't even want to say 100 hours, if you want to do it from the weight room, from the passing league, field work that you can do off season, all that stuff with your coaches meetings, film room. That's a lot of time.
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
But I think when you come in with the mindset that this is something you like to do, that doesn't really come in. That doesn't matter to us. At the end of the day, we're doing something that we enjoy doing, and if we didn't like it, we wouldn't be here. And we know the kids appreciate the time that we put into it, and we appreciate the time they put into it as well. And the only way it works is everyone has to be a little selfless and give in to the bigger picture.
I know we talked about a little bit about how we came into the season and how you were worried about certain positions and how they are right now. Were we heavy at one spot this year? Like were we heavy with guards, tackles, things you didn't have to worry about as far as guys getting reps and getting breathers and stuff?
I think the receiver and DB, those were, like I said, those were our higher number of positions.
So that was easy to rotate back.
We got, for our varsity receivers, we got about 6, and then you still have about 5 JV guys behind them. And then you look at the receivers can also play defense. So, we have 2 to 3 guys that start at receiver that could play cornerback on top of the 3 to 4 guys that already play DB. So, it was having depth there was good. Obviously, we have some young guys that kind of stepped up here and there, but it just gives them a little bit of the taste of the varsity life.
How were injuries this year?
They were good for the most part. I think now, later in the year, the kids are now starting to get banged up a little bit, so we have to deal with the injuries over the last couple of weeks. Some kids are playing a little banged up, but it just comes with the territory of the game.
Right.
It's football. Your body's being put on the line every week. You're never gonna be healthy until the season's done. So we've been fortunate not to have any major injuries. We've had probably one season-ending injury. But other than that, I think most of our kids have been fairly healthy, and then just minor nicks and bumps here and there.
Yeah, that's great.
Now, for the schedule for next year is all pretty much done for the most part.
They usually address that in the spring, but normally it's the schedule's the same, just a reverse location.
Okay, I didn't know if that changed with you being there, what options you have as far as, because I mean, if you think about Brockton always plays a lot of great teams that are in the power rankings, and I hate that word. I just you know what I mean? It's terrible the way someone can play in the right time and they got the chance to add power rankings to the stupid schedule sometimes. It just makes me scratch my head. But that's another show for another time. All right, we're getting ready to take our last break. If you want to call in 508-222-1320. The worst thing about this, Coach, is we get the pro callers that don't want to call in because they're worried about us yelling at them, and you know how they always get mocked on the radio. More the merrier. We bring them in, let them talk. Let's come meet the coach. And I don't know why. It's always like that. You talk to people after, well, I was worried about you. I ain't going to say nothing bad to you. I just want to add your insight, and I thought it'd be cool. They got to follow Lou's example is what they need to do.
They sure do.
All right, with that being said, we have Coach Silva, new skipper over at Brockton High School. We'll be back with him and more right after this.
My junior year of college, I decided I wanted to be a truck driver.
So my uncle, he works here for like 40 plus years, and he said, choose diesel direct, don't go nowhere else.
Lo que me inspiró a mí fue mi hijastro cuando él se graduó con su CDF.
I was telling my stepdad and my brother, hey, this is probably one of the best jobs I've ever had. And I was showing them the type of income that I was making. The equipment that we have at Diesel Direct is the best.
I aim to go in the big unit, the tractor trailer, so I'm trying to work myself up.
I never really had a career before this, but I just want to do my job well and be accepted. And I feel like a lot of people, that's all they want, right? And you definitely get that here.
Hey, welcome back. You are listening and watching 4 Deep Sports Talk here on the news station. 1320 AM WARA and online, all one word, off our website, 4deepsportstalk.com. This show will be on Brockton Community Access TV along with 47 other towns around the South Shore and the northern part of the state. But if you want to call in, 508-222-1320. Coach Silva told me to challenge you guys. Let's pick up the phones. He's ready for questions. And I want to make sure, did we leave anything out? I mean, we touched a lot about the team. I know we only have 9 minutes left before we step away. But I'm trying to think. I think we covered a lot as far as his background.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And this is kind of early, but I thought it'd be a good time. And it actually worked out good with the way the time is and the way the quarters worked out in this hour. Is there any shout-outs you want to give out to people you want to thank for this? I mean, you had a successful season if you think about the whole gist of it. I mean, you were behind, you burned off 3 wins in a row, lost a couple of games by nail-biters, and, like I said, you went left, but you went right, whatever. Is there anyone that comes to mind you want to shout out to?
I mean, the entire coaching staff. I think we've dug our heels in since the beginning. We've all kind of stuck together, and we're all pushing the same message to the kids and trying to keep them on the beaten narrow and teach them things that they're not only on the football field, but they're gonna take on into the future. So definitely my staff. Then I also have a couple other people. So we did do like a homecoming event that we did. That was New Bedford game. We ended up doing, food trucks. There were games there, face painting. So there were, Jeff Charnel, Monique Da Silva, Dr. Amina Pilgrim, Arthur Diaz, and Tony Rodriguez, who's on the committee in Brockton. So they all kind of helped spearheaded and coordinate what happened that day, and it was great to see all the the youth kid that came out, families came out. It was a good fun day, and it was senior day, so the seniors got to get celebrated that day too. So it was a good event.
Now, when was that? Because I'm thinking we could have probably done a live show at BHS.
So that was, I believe, the 24th of October.
Okay.
That was a Saturday. But that's something that we can work on for next year.
Yeah,
we're looking to make it a little bigger and better next year.
Yeah.
This was kind of like the not the test run, but it was the first time we did it in this sort of manner, and it came out pretty well. So.
Well, that was a Thursday, but we could have done a pre-tape. We could have taped it.
Definitely.
So what was the 26th?
The 26th was that Saturday.
Yeah, so that would have been the 26th then.
Was it around noontime?
Yeah, it was
Something like
1 o'clock game, yeah.
Oh, that would have been hard to do it because I would have been going from there to call the game on TV. That would have been tough. But that was pretty good. Didn't you guys do that last year too?
So last year we had the senior day, but we
Yeah.
didn't have the extra events going on outside of it.
Oh, okay.
So it was more so just the senior day last year. So I think
So you guys were in the parking lot doing this?
no, so you know how you walk after your ticket booth,
Yeah.
right on right in that area where you can kind of walk in. Like I said, we had 3 food trucks there. We had 2 food trucks, an ice cream truck. We had cotton candy. We had free popcorn.
Wow.
Yard games. Northeast Savings Bank was there. They were doing piggy bank paintings.
Oh, that's so cool.
Nice.
Face painting caricatures. Yeah, all in that little area. And like I said, it was.
Why the game was going on as well?
So it started before the game. So it started at 10:30,
Yeah.
and it continued through the course of the game.
Yeah, we still could have done a live show.
Definitely.
Well, we couldn't have got him, but we could have
Yeah,
got somebody.
I think I would have been a little busy.
Yeah, right. All right, so that works into my next question. Kids, my mind's everywhere. How have you implemented yourself in the youth football program so far? Now that they know you're the new skipper over there.
So I've been to, I know a lot of the representatives, so I've been to them. I've reached out to them, I've spoken to them. I've been to their games. Not a lot, obviously, with a high school schedule and obviously, a family. You try to balance everything out. So I have done the best I can to at least be visible and get out there. We were at the middle school championship last Wednesday. We spoke to them, and we spoke to both teams after the game. So we've, like I said, slowly, putting ourselves into the youth and the community, and then obviously with the homecoming, that was part of it, to be like, hey, bring your kids out, come have some fun, come watch football. We also did a backpack drive during the summertime after our second home scrimmage. So we were able to kind of, have our players give out free backpacks to, families and kids that came out too.
Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
great.
That is so
That's
cool.
great.
Well, he's a Brockton kid, and he knows what he's been around. So, any
Yeah.
insight you add and your coaching staff going out there, that's a hat off to you guys. That's really cool.
Sounds like you have a lot of support there.
No,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
That's why, I shouted out a couple of people because
Yeah.
I can't do it by myself. Like I said, the coaching staff, they helped. The individuals behind the scenes that, people may not know of, they've all helped through this process. And, we didn't try to take on too many things this year, just kind of small things just to kind of build up to it. And hopefully
Awesome.
we can continue to add more into next year.
Definitely kind of set you up for next year.
so,
Even the seniors going out,
Yep.
right?
So now in Brockton, we have the middle school football, right?
Mm-hmm.
Used to be called the midget league back in the day.
So midget league is no longer
Yeah.
running. So now you have the junior boxers, you have the Raiders, and then you have the middle school football, which started up a couple of years ago.
So you have
So there's
Pop
three.
Warner and American Football League.
Yeah, so you have 3.
Yeah, something like that.
So you have 3 different leagues running right now.
Now, what rules do the middle school play? I know we only got a couple minutes left, but I was curious. Do you know what rules the middle school play under? Do they play under NHSF because it's junior high school or middle school?
I think they play. I'm pretty sure they play under that. I'm not 100% positive.
Yeah.
I know they do play some surrounding towns. So I'm assuming they have to be in a league to be able to play them. And then the youth, they play AYF, which I think is grade based.
Yeah.
Rather than weight based like it used to be in the past.
Oh, yeah.
So I think they've kind of switched over and they're doing a grade based rather than weight based.
That gives all those other kids a chance to play now,
That's
which is
exactly
awesome.
what it is. Yeah.
Well, Coach, thank you. It was great to see you. probably try to sneak in if I can to a couple basketball games and.
I'll be front and center.
But yeah, please reach out if you have any fundraisers going on. Hopefully, we'll get you here as the next Super Bowl champions. That'd be really cool to get you.
Yeah, bring in some players also.
Right, bring in some players.
Absolutely.
But again, it was nice to see you again.
Appreciate
Thank
you guys for having me.
Absolutely. And me and Avea, did I say it right?
Aheva. All right, it's only the second week, Dom, so...
Yeah, but it's not cool, though.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. I don't want your parents calling me. Please don't give them my number, because I really don't want to get in trouble. And so, I know we have Catherine Conley's taking a little bit of a break, so the TikTok and a little bit of social media is going to be down.
Oh, yeah,
she
she
has
said
some
she
things
was
going
going
on.
to continue the TikTok when
good.
she can. So right now, she's kind of going through some issues.
So next week, we're going to go into the football bracket show. So we're going to get everybody
fun.
caught up on what's going on.
Okay.
Me and Miss Jett are going to go to Gillette Stadium on Super Bowl this week.
Awesome.
We're going to go check that out. She's excited about that.
Oh, my goodness.
She's not
You're gonna
showing it,
love
but
it.
I can tell. We will catch you next time. Everyone have a fantastic weekend. Let me make sure it's playing.
4 Deep Sports Talk would like to thank its supporters, including PTU Clinic. Find out more about Bridgewater and Buzzards Bay's newest physical therapy clinic and what they have to offer at ptuclinic.com. Adria Restaurant and Banquet Facility located at 436 Oak Street in East Bridgewater. Visit adriarestaurant.net for more. Diesel Direct, your reliable source for fuel delivery. Log on to dieseldirect.com to get more information. And by the New England Knockouts, Brockton's brand new Frontier League baseball team. Get your tickets for the inaugural season today at knockoutsbaseball.com.
This has been a presentation of 4 Deep Sports Talk, where high school and youth athletics come first.